Hey folks, GM Enforcer here. Welcome to the Genichero fight review from the Gnomish Mafia Guide for Blood and Profit. If you're here watching this video, welcome to the Adult League. You're playing with the big dogs now. You better learn to run with the pack or get left on the porch. If you haven't learned basic combat skills like perfect parry up to this point, Genichero will teach you. He's the skill check boss. He will test everything. It's not uncommon for people to be stuck for days or even weeks on Genichero while they figure out and hone their basic combat skills against his moveset. The key here is not to get frustrated and realize it's a learning process. You can do it. You just got to give yourself some time and practice to get good. Don't give up. If you get super frustrated, take a break from the game or go grind some skill points or play in another area for a while. In this video, we'll break down when you should fight him, your build and skills you should bring to the fight, basic strategy against Genichero specifically, and we'll take a close look at his moveset and look at common responses to each move. When you're playing the game at this level, you have to start thinking in terms of chess moves. If he does this, then I do that. Always thinking, how can I press the advantage and be aggressive, because that's how you beat this guy. When to fight Genichero. We at the Mafia recommend beating almost every boss you can get to before fighting him. Not only will this hone your skills, but it makes sure you have the maximum prayer beads and attack power available to get the job done. You don't have to have killed these bosses, but it's recommended. We'll be skipping over mentioning bosses that are required up to this point, like the Chained Ogre and Blazing Bull. You have to have beat those bosses to even get here. Okay, here's my list and my notes. Lady Butterfly. She's the final boss in Harada Estate. You get 2 prayer beads from her, one from her and one from the secret room right before you get to her, and you get the remembrance upgrade from her. Next on the list is the Purple Ninja at the 3-tier pagoda in Harada Estate. I believe you get a prayer bead from this guy. It's a tough fight, but it's totally worth it. If you don't know where this guy is, go to the section right before you meet Owl in the Harada Estate, and there's a bridge with an ogre and 2 shield guys. Go underneath the bridge and swim upstream. You'll find a carp in the river, actually. That'll get you another carp scale. Go up the cave you'll find there that's hidden by bamboo. I've actually got a separate strategy guide for that guy in particular. You can cheese him off the cliff if you have a problem beating him. I also recommend Snake Eyes. You can take him out on the way to the gun fort or in the poison pond near the Ashina depths. You can get to both of those locations before you have to, or before you fight Genichero. The long-armed giraffe centipede at the end of the gun fort. I realize this is optional, but I believe he gives you a prayer bead. More than anything, he's great practice for deflect. If you can get through that fight, you can deflect everything that Genichero will throw at you. I also recommend taking out the Bridge Knight. You get a prayer bead from him, and after you beat the Bridge Knight, you can get a couple of fish scales, and that will give you access to the second long-armed giraffe centipede that's on temple grounds, who will definitely give you another prayer bead. So both of those guys are recommended. There's also a purple ninja near 7 Spears. Definitely recommend dropping him because he will give you access to a dungeon entrance where you can get to the Hidden Forest and drop the Mist Noble and the Hidden Forest Drunkard. I definitely recommend taking all of those guys out for sure, just to get their upgrades and to get the combat practice. I have videos coming out, or they're already out, for all of these fights, so definitely check out the other videos in my channel if you need tips and tricks on that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about combat arts. This is a big part of the fight, and it's really important. You're probably going to want either Floating Passage or Ichimonji Double. I'm a Floating Passage guy, and this is why. A lot of what we're going to talk about in this strategy section is going to be about being aggressive and applying pressure. Floating Passage combat art gives you a fairly long chain attack when you follow it up with a couple of R1 attacks. This is great for responding to Genichero's openings when aggression and driving his posture high is important. It's a bit of work to get this unlocked, but it's totally worth it. You can buy it from the treasure scale vendor on the Lake Island in the first part of Harada Estate. You'll need 5 treasure scales. You can get 2 from the lake with a treasure scale vendor in it. You can get 1 hidden behind the rock near the first bridge in Harada. You can get another one later in Harada from the river where you fight the ogre and the 2 shield guys, near where you deal with the purple ninja who's guarding the Mistraven feathers. You're still going to be 1 scale short, so you can get 2 more scales at the Sempo Temple grounds immediately after you kill the bridge knight. You're going to want to go there anyway to drop the other long-armed giraffe centipede who's hiding in the temple grounds so you can get his prayer bead. I have a floating passage carp scale video coming out soon, so just search my channel for carp scales and you should see it. So if you're not going to use floating passage, you're probably going to want to use Ichimonji double. Either of these are great choices to punish Genichero, no matter what he does. If you go with floating passage, it's easier to be aggressive, but you might struggle with posture and you'll either need to hold block to cool down your posture or pop up Gokan sugar to give you that extra boost you need for posture. If you go with Ichimonji double, it'll cool down your posture for you every time you use it, so you don't need the sugars, but you might need to step up with your aggression a bit. Ichimonji is on the Ashina Arts skill tree. You can get that after feeding Gyobu, the horse boss. Look for the Ishin in a mask inside a building opposite the arena where you fought Gyobu. You can look for my Ichimonji video for additional details. In the fight review section of this video, anytime you see me use floating passage, you can use Ichimon double instead if that's more your playstyle. Okay, now let's talk about skill points and builds and loadouts. So you're either going to want floating passage or Ichimonji double, most likely for your combat art. You want all of the medicine upgrades from the skill point tree. You want all of the spirit emblem upgrades from the skill point tree so you can get maximum firecrackers. You want the shinobi eyes for maximum Mikiri damage, and all of the latent skills on the Ashina Arch tree to help with posture problems and just to give you an advantage when you're fencing with Genichero back and forth. For loadout, you're going to want firecrackers. You just need the regular firecrackers. They don't need to be upgraded. You don't get anything extra in fighting him for the upgrade. I recommend, clearly, you're either going to want floating passage or Ichimon double equipped. You're going to want as many gourd heals as you can get. At this point, you should have at least 5 to 8. I had 8 when I fought it. Eel livers are nice, and you can collect those just by searching around everywhere. But they're optional. If you really learn how to do the lightning reversal, you don't need the eel livers, but the eel livers will, one of them will definitely buy you at least getting hit by lightning once. If you have them in your inventory and you haven't used them yet, the red Jizo statues that give you an extra resurrect will definitely help. I wouldn't use that unless you're in the 3rd phase and he's about to go down anyway, because those are really rare, but the Jizo statues will definitely help. And of course, you're probably going to want a couple of Gokan posture sugars if you're not using Ichimonji double. Okay, now we get into the fun stuff. We're going to talk about his movesets. So his close range grab is the first one to look out for. He does this with close range only. He will not jump. You probably just want to back up from this. Don't try to Mario stomp this. He'll snatch you right out of the air and do the grab anyway. He's done it to me a bunch. If you're up close, he's also got a close strike. Again, he does this without a jump. It's a big hit that will knock you back. I recommend you just move back from the move and don't let him hit you. It is a perilous attack, so you can deflect it, but you're going to take damage if you don't deflect it absolutely perfectly. So then he's got a perilous jump attack, which you definitely want to parry perfectly because it's a perilous attack, and if you don't, he's definitely going to do some damage to you. he will follow up that jump attack with either a lunge or a sweep. If he does the lunge, you definitely want to Mikiri counter that just to get all that posture damage in. If he's going to do the sweep, you can safely Mario stomp that sweep. I have a hard time Mario stomping it because I'm always trying to figure out if it's going to be a lunge or a sweep. So I just back up if I don't think it's going to be a lunge. So when he gets into his third phase, he's going to have a couple of additional perilous attacks. So the first one is the Shadow Lunge. This is actually, I think, the same skill tree or the same skill you can get on your skill tree. Be really, really careful with this. He always opens his third phase with this lunge, and it will come clear across the map. He can go across the entire arena with this lunge. He'll also use this lunge to punish your heals when you're in the third phase. You can sidestep this if you're healing, or you can just use a Mikiri counter if you're really, really fast. Mikiri counter definitely does more damage than anything else. So then there's the famous lightning. So this is his culmination attack for this fight. You'll see him pause for just a moment and hold in sort of odd horse stance, and he'll hold his sword vertically near his side. That's when you know he's going to jump and call lightning. Wait a moment for him to get airborne, and then jump and parry or deflect to catch the lightning, and then immediately hit R1 to throw it back at him. If you can hit him with the lightning, he'll be stunned and wide open for a combat art. So rush in and do your Ichimaji or your floating passage. You want to keep yourself mid-range or close so that you can redirect this attack. If you're too far back, you won't be able to catch the lightning. So those are just his perilous attacks. Now let's talk about his regular attacks. So the one you really want to look for, and the one that makes me happiest when I see it coming, is this long chain attack. When you get your practice in, you can perfect parry that entire attack sequence, and it will do massive posture damage to him. If you can get 2 or 3 of those, get him to do that 2 or 3 times back to back, that's almost a death blow right there. And when he finishes that long chain attack, he's just going to stand there for a second and be vulnerable for an opening. That's when you launch into your combat art, either Ichimaji double or the floating passage if you're using that. So he's also got this jumping machine gun attack where he jumps up into the air and he fires a bunch of arrows. Deflect all of those. You can deflect his arrows. Don't be intimidated by that. If you're in motion, just run perpendicular to him and you can sprint to avoid all of those shots too. The other thing to watch out for, he used to give me a lot with this. He does this shoot, roll, and slice to close the distance. So you want to deflect the first shot or get shot by it if you don't see it coming, but be prepared for an immediate follow-up attack. So when he does that slice, he's going to do either a single slice or he might do a couple of slices. So definitely be ready to parry a couple of times after he does that roll. And then you can follow that up afterwards with your own combat art. So that's the combat art is the response to his roll and slice. The last thing I want to point out is he's got a heal punish, and it's different for the first phase usually versus the third phase. So you'll need to be far away from him when you heal, just in general, because if you're close up, it's not going to turn out well for you. So get on the other side of the arena, and he's going to try and shoot you. You want to be holding left or right on the stick as you take that heal, or you're popping that sugar or whatever you're doing. That will sidestep his shot. Usually you can charge him and launch into a combat shot, a combat art right after you sidestep that move, but it depends on distance. If you're too close to him when you try to heal, you will not be able to sidestep his shot or his roll and slice. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of his heal punish and that shoot, roll, slice, definitely. So let's quickly talk about overall strategy, and then we'll get into the fight review, which is the fun part. So first of all, I really need to say you cannot be afraid of deflects and fight this guy and win. It's just not going to happen. The way to beat him is through deflects and Mikiri counters. It's difficult to kill him by grinding down his health because his defense is so good. Instead, you want to be aggressive and drive up his posture so that you can get a posture-based death blow, regardless of his health. This is the case in all 3 of his phases. You want to shoot for that posture-based death blow. Try not to jump unless you're punishing an attack or avoiding an active attack. He's really good at shooting you out of the air if you try to open up with a jump attack. Just don't do it. He's got a bow, he's an archer, he knows what's up. If your posture is overheated, back up, give yourself some space and hold block to quickly cool that posture down. And the final piece of strategy advice I'll give you for the 3rd phase, if you have it, pop an eel liver and then fence with him back and forth as you normally would, and look for opportunities to deflect that long chain attack or get a Mikiri counter from that lunge he loves to hit you with from across the map. Look for lightning attacks you can reverse. Those are devastating. He's stunned for a minute, and you can get a really long hit chain on him when he's stunned, and that's good news. That's good news. So that's my strategy advice. I think we should just jump into the fight review. This is my most recent version of the fight with him. You'll see all the moves we talked about play out, and then I'll try to narrate it in real time while I'm doing the fight.
I'm going to go ahead and pop a Gokan Sugar, because I'm going to fence with him quite a bit.
Face me,
That long chain attack I'm using is a combat art called Floating Passage. I messed that up. You get that from the carb scale vendor. Mikiri counter that. Floating Passage. Didn't know he was going to do that. Long chain attack here. Floating Passage in response. Gonna get out of the way. Recover some posture damage. Come on now, heal up, heal, sidestep, Floating Passage.
You are wonderful. Thank you. Come, sir. I admitted you are better than I am.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
I'm actually waiting for him to do this long chain attack so I can deflect it and Mikiri that. And there's our first death blow.
I will send you to Jesus.
I'm not finished yet.
Okay. Well, I'm not done either, buddy.
Then why are you smiling? Because I know something you don't know. And what is that? I am not left-handed.
Mikiri. Nope, that was a sweep. Long attack here. Gonna need to back up and heal here. And dump some posture damage. Nope, not today, Satan. Goodness, goodness. You're aggressive. You're aggressive.
Their bodies tossed skyward, like ragdolls thrown into the air by the late great Andre the Giant. I don't know. They appeared to be weightless, hitting 0G like the fearless crew of a forgotten Apollo mission, whose only objective was to obtain a beef and cheddar classic.
Nope. Goodness, goodness. Man, he closed fast. Sidestep after heal. Go back into floating passage. And man, I don't know how I missed both of those.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Let's get back to it. Come on. Missed that. Oh, was trying to get away from that.
I need some lube.
Gonna drop some of this posture.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Long wind up. Okay, when he comes back and we get out of this cutscene, he is gonna do a lunge. We're gonna make Fury counter that and try to punish him with a firecracker and then go into floating passage. The thing we're gonna watch for is when he assumes this stance and holds it for a sec where he's holding his sword perfectly upright. He's about to jump and grab the lightning, and we're gonna need to jump and deflect and return. Lunge coming in. Firecracker. Floating passage. Wait for him to retort.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Firecracker. I did not expect him to do that right off the bat. So we're gonna heal.
I need some lube.
And I'm gonna go ahead and pop another Gokan sugar. Return that. Floating passage. Goodness, did not expect that so soon. Goodness, all I got left is pellets. All I got left is pellets. Gotta cool down. Makiri counter that. Go into floating passage.
I just whoop his ass anyway.
Boom shakalaka. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Now I know I made that look easy. That wasn't easy. I fought him a lot. You guys just saw the last battle. But it's about learning his patterns and figuring out how to respond to everything.
So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like or subscribe if you learned something or you were just entertained. GM Enforcer signing off, and good luck with your Genichero fight.